Morning, students. So let us commence the session. So from the first unit that we have discussed about the usage of XML in the development of web services. Second unit, we have learned service-oriented architecture and its framework. What could be its principles? What could be its benefits? So in the third unit, we are learning the technical infrastructure of a web service. What would be the software base? What would be the fundamentals that we are needed if we want to construct a web service? So in the beginning of our unit 3, we have discussed what is a web service. To construct web service, what are all the components that are needed from our SOAP, UDDI, WSDL. What are all the types of web service? SOAP and RESTful. What could be the major difference between them? In what are all the places we have to use? SOAP is a standard, but RESTful is not a standard. Even in security aspect also we have discussed. So by having this preview, we'll go for recapping the session by some MCQs. So make your options in the chat box. RESTful web services. Defines its own security, inherits security measures from the underlying transport, or both of them, none of them. What would be? Mark your answers in the chat box. So RESTful web services, it's like postcard. Already have mentioned you, right? SOAP is like our envelope. So what would be the best option for this? Post your options in the chat. What would be the best option? I need students to post options in the chat. 115 students are there, right? We are progressing steadily. Expecting the students to post the answers in the chat. It's a way of recapping what we learnt already, right? If it is a new concept, I could have explained that. But it is a thing that already we have seen in the last session. You might have understood. What would be the best option for this? So ultimately, C won't come because already I have mentioned it is like a postcard. We don't have any feature of security, but through programming, we can inherit security measures from the underlying transport. So underlying transport is nothing but TLS, transport layer security, right? Or if you want to say in a framework basis, SSL, secure socket layer. From our network layer, we could able to provide this. For this RESTful web services available in the application layer. Okay, so that's the reason why option B could be the best thing. Second question: what are the advantages of RESTful web services? Language and platform independent. REST can use SOAP, permits different data format, all of the above. Which one be the best option? I think we have discussed very detail on these things on those days. I have shown you a tabular representation between SOAP and RESTful services. So what could be the best option? Let me see. Yes, we are getting answers as A and D. A and D are the options that we are receiving. Okay, fine. Options ultimately is going to be D only because uh, REST is going to be like my service that which could be able to communicate with the heterogeneous services. So ultimately what will happen? Language and platform independency will exhibit there. Second thing, REST can use SOAP perfectly because over the REST only, SOAP has its envelope. Okay, if I am going to make a wrapper over REST, that is going to be my SOAP. That's it. That's what REST can use. SOAP permits different data format. Option A and C are linked. Okay, when they are going to communicate with a heterogeneous web services, ultimately the term platform independency will let you to talk about this different data formats, right? So ultimately all the options will rely on this. Yes, this is something that you need to learn, right? The reason here is marshalling, right? I have introduced this term in the beginning during XML. I have introduced the right. The reason to show you here is this could be the content that you must know when you are going to work with your web service practically. Okay, like how we are using the term typecasting. The same way, the term marshalling need to be used. Okay, how I am going to map my heterogeneous web services, especially okay heterogeneous web services. How does this communication is being established by SOAP or RESTful web services? How it can be determined, right? For all those things, this simple process will take care of that. The process will be automated by the corresponding software available as an open source. Especially this marshaller will be used for my Java web services. Okay, if it is my native, right? So if it is my native Java web service, I could able to use this. So that's what JAX B2 marshaller. So ultimately, what is the functionality that it could able to perform? Classes to be bound and context path, right? This context path can be managed through my Xcode and especially Xcode and Xpath. They will take care of this context path while they are going to come for language independency. classes to be found. Okay, classes to be bound. So that can be identified through my SOAP messages itself, right? I will show you today how is the SOAP message, SOAP request message, what is the format, SOAP response message, what is the format. I will show you. So those classes will be available in my SOAP messages itself. Okay, so all those things could be available when we are going to perform this marshalling, right? So that's the case that I need to talk about marshalling. Yes, these are all some of the practical content that you need to know. People who are familiar with the ant tool, right? And so this ant tool, I think you might have learned in your. I think you are going to learn might be for Wipro in milestone 2 and 3. You have these things ant tool. So this ant tool could be a path to test your corresponding Java could be embossed with your JUnit framework. Pertaining to this JAX RS, right? JAX RS API. RS represents RESTful services. JAX RS API. What is the annotation it consists of? Right? Annotation. Annotations are mentioned using the symbol at. So try to remember that. At is the thing that annotations are being mentioned. Okay, I think in unit testing that we will use the at test, right? At parameter. So this will help me for testing the set of values for my corresponding logic that what I have written. So likewise here, what is the annotation word or annotation keyword that we will be using when we are going to include JAX RESTful web services? JAX is nothing but Java API for XML specific to RESTful web services. That's what. So the API could be identified using the corresponding web service by the annotation producers, right? So I want to introduce these things towards you, right? Producers. So please remember that producers, because you are going to see in the today's session could be something like hands-on, right? If you have NetBeans, you could able to activate it in your laptop. So that will help you for you, right? So annotation is nothing but at producers. If the program or if the client version of the program consists of at producers annotation, make sure that the service rendered for your program is from a RESTful web service, right? You could be able to find it out. So DAS is the API for RESTful web services. Ultimately, it's going to be my JAX RS. Okay, JAX RS is for RESTful web services. JAX WS is for SOAP-based web services. Right. So that could be the thing that you need to learn from this case in terms of practical aspect, right? So, and I suggest you students, if you have NetBeans in your laptop, that just you could be able to log in into NetBeans, open the NetBeans, and specifically if you have configured NetBeans for J2EE, then it would be more easier to execute this, right? It could be like a hands-on session that if you have NetBeans in your machine. Even otherwise, if you don't have, don't worry. Using this PPT, you can later run how to create a web service, how to access the web service and consume it, right? Both of them are available here. I wrote the complete content in Java. So if you are well enough to write in Microsoft Technologies, that's also good. Here I am going to do, I'll show you step by step, because stage 1, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a web service in Java. I'm going to write a client software in Java to access the web service, native web service consumption. Okay, so homogeneous communication, heterogeneous communication I will show you, right? So what would be the role of SOAP here? Okay, what would be the role of SOAP here? While WSDL is generated by my web service, how these SOAP request and response services are being communicated. Remember the diagram in the last session. that we could able to see there an XML program has been sent as a input and an XML program has been received as a output in SOAP. While in RESTful web services, you could able to see I'm going to send a URL. Output could be a necessary content in terms of XML, right? This is what we have seen in our difference between SOAP and RESTful web services, right? So, if you are ready, that we could able to move forward. Fine. 140 students are there. First, I have to create a new project in NetBeans, right? So, if you have opened the NetBeans, when you click File, you will get new project. So, name the project, and you have to activate the Glassfish server. Already, it will be available in your NetBeans. Okay. Next, you have to create the web service. See, this is the summary of the complete section, but I will show you step by step. Each and individual point in the slide will come as step by step. No need to worry. Okay, so I have to get this Glassfish server. So Glassfish server will is the default server available in your NetBeans, right? So it could be a manageable server. That's the reason why most of the open source softwares have it on this platform, right? So more versions have come, more number of versions have been released on Glassfish. So I have to create my web service. So using the wizards, you could be able to create. So purely in the design view, I could be able to write my web service code, right? Even you have the provision to do it through UI. Even you have the provision for writing source code also. So you could be able to write the source code, what the logic that you need to do. So you have to save the source view, and web service will be automated. You have to give the input and you have to check, right? You could be able to test your web service. So these are all the steps that we are going to see, but later in the transformation you come to know about that, how to consume the web service also. So this is the step-by-step procedure. So first I have to create a new project in NetBeans. So that could be done through File. Then I have to click New. Then I have to move forward the project. So when I'm going to do that, I will get this screen. So I am going to give my web service name. So that is the location that where my project will be stored. Okay. So I think this place could be more customized when you are going to work with a direct or real web server. Okay. Or when you are going to work with your specific storage area, like that, for example, you have accessed a storage layer in your AWS. So in that case, the location must be something different. It will not be like SQL and documents or something like that. It will be like some IP address. For that, the corresponding domain name. After the domain name, you will have // right? // represents that it is available in the server, right? So that's the only modification that you have to do when we are going to work with the project location, right? So that's the thing. So now after this screen, right? After I am giving my project name and the location that where it is going to be stored, I have to select the server as Glassfish, right? See, because some other servers also will be available in NetBeans. Even I can configure my Tomcat also, right? But Tomcat will have the feature of web server only, right? It don't have the nature of application server. But Glassfish server could exhibit both the features, application server as well as the web server, right? See, during 99 2000, during the period on the transition of web technology, IBM and the BEA, these two people are very famous in producing application servers, right? They are BEA is very famous in coming up with a WebLogic. Okay, that is a very famous application servers that they have generated. Likewise, IBM is very famous in coming up with the different modifications in WebSphere, right? So these two people are complete competitors in the market during the time. So even nowadays, so application servers will that they will be hosted with the corresponding environment where I could able to access my application alone. Not nothing but my business logic, everything could be available over on the, that could be geographically it could be intraceable. Like this, I could able to fix it up. So that could be the nature that the role of application servers are being produced. Okay, so while on those cases, more number of servers will be available. The suggestible things is you could able to go for Glassfish server. So the version that I could able to choose. Nowadays, you have advanced servers, advanced versions of J2W will come. So you could be able to choose the recent version, right? And the context path, right? Context path is the one where I will access my corresponding service. Since it is local, I have given slash the corresponding service name. Okay, the corresponding service name Java-v service, like this has been given. So slash, if it is going to be a server based location, means dot slash, that could be my context path. So to develop the web service, what I have to do? So I have to right click the project, click on new service. Normally in the right side of the window, you will have the tile bar. So from there I could able to create a web service, or as usual by going to the menu again, and instead of selecting the file new project, I have to file new the corresponding web service. I could able to do that. Okay. Then after that, I could able to click the add operation, which is available in the design view. I'll show it through the screen. Right. So this is the thing that what I need to show. Okay. So either you could be able to go and work with file new and again a web service, or else so you could be able to right click on that and you could be able to move for the corresponding web service. Otherwise, I think they have given you add operation. Okay, so by that you could be able to create your web service to add operation. Right? What it triggers actually when I'm going to click add operation, it will inform the WSDL. See, a web service is going to be developed. The web service will have its own parameters, have its own return type. So for that, you make up your corresponding request and response messages, right? In that way, you have to construct. Now I am going to supply you the corresponding function name. The function name is going to be my service identification name. So likewise, the communications will happen when I'm going to click my add operation. Okay. So that is the stage. So when I'm going to click add operation, I'm going to give my service name. Service name is fact1. So return type I have given as a string, right? The default return type, but I could be able to change that because the parameter that I am going to pass is an integer. So that's also a variable I have declared as x, right? So the return type, normally the return type would be my integer only, right? Because I'm going to find out the factorial of the given number. So in that case, the result will be a integer only, but the return type has been mentioned as a string that it could be changed in the later stage. Okay, so this is the way to use through wizard. This is the way to use through wizard. So here I am giving my process. So remember that. Remember the service decomposition. I am mapping my process with the service, right? So the process has been mentioned here. So I am going to give that. So this is what I have shown you in the previous screen. So I am going to give the service name, and I am going to give the return type, the parameter, because for finding out the factorial, I am going to pass only one value. Return type is also going to be an integer. So the web service code will be generated, and I could be able to name it as factorial, and the method name could be fact1. Right? So this is the screen that it got developed. Right? This is the thing. You will be able to see here parameters output false. Right? So in this place you could be able to see. So here you could have fact1 is the service name, and you could able to see that you have a parameter name. So this is the value being passed towards the function, right? So here is the output. So even you could able to execute this and see like a normal program, or you could able to see the output through wizard also. So that is the flexibility have been given over here, right? So that's the idea. So where I have to write my code. Here you could able to see now design view is visible here. So you have to click the source view. So I'm going to click the source view. For the corresponding content, it would have generated a skeleton, right? It will have generated a skeleton. Within the skeleton, you can write your code. Right? That's it. So skeleton means nothing but it would have generated a portion of the function. That's all. So what it will do? So it will be like this. Assume that. So int fact of int comma int n. That's all. So within empty parenthesis, it would have to do write. You have to write some code within this. That's all. So what you are going to write? So within that curly braces, you are going to write the logic of factorial program. Okay. So that's what, right? This what is being generated. Okay. So here we are using. So through the program, I could able to understand that I am using my SOAP. So please remember that annotation for the SOAP has been identified even through packages also. I am using JWS, not JRS. Okay, I am using SOAP in this program. Okay, so please remember that, and identify that how I will identify my service name through the annotation at web method. Okay, how I will identify my service name at web service. Okay, so the name of the web service is factorial. Okay, the operation of the web service is identified using fact1, right? So here the parameter is being identified by the annotation at web param. Okay, at web param. So these are all the annotations being supplied by my web service, especially JWS. Okay, supplied by JWS. These annotations are supplied by JWS specifically for my SOAP based environment. Okay, so to remind you that at web service will represent my service name, at web method will talk about my process, at web param will talk about my parameters to be passed for the corresponding web service, right? So that is the idea. So to do write your implementation code here, so then you have to write your factorial logic, right? Here the return type has been given as a string. Please note that point, why it has been. Okay, so how to test my web service? So right click on the factorial method, click on test web service. Right, so when I'm going to click on test web service, what's going to happen? See, assume that I wrote the code over there. Okay, see, this is the place where my WSDL file will be generated. Actually, this is the place where my WSDL file will be generated, and the service name has been identified. You don't know what is the actual logic as a service user. This platform is being customized for the environment. Okay, this platform is customized for the environment. This is the default format, right? I am using your presentation tier or using your front end design. You could able to make it up in a better way. Okay, but this could be the default page being produced by your Glassfish server, right? Corresponding Glassfish server. So what I will do? So I am going to supply my value 5. That is my argument that I am going to pass it towards my program. And when I'm going to click that button fact1, it will generate my WSDL file. Please remember, it will generate my WSDL file. Okay, so see here. I think you could able to see the screen in two sections. First one, I have passed the parameter file, and I have received the value java.lang.string Factorial of 5 is 120. See, I have calculated the integer value, processed the integer value. While I am going to return the integer value, I had sent it as a string. Okay. The reason why it has been sent it as a string here is the reception parameter is going to be used in the SOAP message. That is the reason why it has been given as a string. Okay, because in the SOAP based web services, the corresponding data type could be raw. I think you could be able to remember while we have learned about if we want to use data types in XML, what we have to do, right? So I have to mention, I have to go for scripting. All those options are not available here. That is the reason why the return type of a factorial program is being converted into the string. That's it. That is the only reason that the return type is going to be given as a string here. Our results are being processed as a integer only, but while it is going to return the value to the web service, it should be shown as a string. The reason is the corresponding value will be sent towards the customer environment, because from the server only that program is going to be sent for interpretation. So in that case, the value to be used in my XML program could be used as a raw string. That's the reason why the return type has been given as a string, right? So these two messages will get to be generated. Okay, so first one is a SOAP request message and the second one is a SOAP response message. I think it is not being visible here properly. So that is the reason why I have made it to be like this. Okay, so this is my SOAP request message. So I am passing the value 5. The variable is n. It might be x, right? So find fact. So here we are using the method as fact1. Okay. So this SOAP message I have taken by executing my own program. The demonstration what I have shown you is some other program. Okay. So in my own program I have given like this. As well as since I am using this program in one more web service, that is the reason why I have given this labeling, right? So M could be my identified label for this. I have used some set of web services. Fact is one of the web service in that. So to identify that only, that M has been given. So nothing more than that. So this is my SOAP request message. I need to find the value of 5. Likewise, it has been sent to my web service. Okay, it would be sent to my corresponding server. This is my response, right? So it will the find fact is the service name. It will be appended with the response. See the difference between previous program and the current program. Find fact response. This is the SOAP response message. So remember the diagram in the difference between SOAP and RESTful web services. So in the SOAP, the SOAP response, SOAP request is also a XML program. SOAP response is also a XML program. So remainder. So it is going to return. So what it is going to happen? It is ready to generate my output alone. So remember that it is ready to generate my output alone. So 5 factorial value is 120. That is being generated. I don't know where it was executed, how it was executed. Simply I am consuming the service and I am going to use it with the help of my SOAP. This could be my communication. And the namespace is being given from W3 schools, right? So the reason here is SOAP is a standard being recognized by my W3C. Moreover, whatever the packages that we are ready to adapt, depending upon that, the namespace will get to vary, right? So if I am going to use my RESTful web service, I could be able to customize and use this. No need to use the direct standard, because RESTful web services do not rely on any specific standards. Okay, so that is the reason why I want to talk about this here. So this is my SOAP request message and this is my SOAP response message. The request message, the value 5 is being passed. In the response message, the computed value is being given over there. So the idea here is the communication happening between web services or between web service and user or between web service and any application has to happen through this SOAP only. So that is the content that I want to project here. How to consume this, right? So till now we have seen uh, this is my web service. I have generated this web service. How to use it in a program, right? So here I wrote my logic. That's also all those things are over. Now I have created the web service. The process is over. My SOAP messages are ready. Okay, they are ready. So how to communicate from a native web service, or how to communicate from a native client? Now I am going to write a Java program. Using this Java program, I am going to communicate with my web service fact1, right? So or find fact, whatever may be. Again, in the same NetBeans, I am going to create a Java program. So I am going to click the category Java. I am going to give the project name Java Web Service Client. I am writing my native program, and also you have to identify the content here. The program consists of a main method. That's the reason why create main class, because I am going to write only one program. So the program don't have any calling methodologies. And I am going to mention my URL, WSDL URL. Okay, see, this is the place that I have to convey you. If it is going to be my JAX RS style, if it is going to be my JAX RS style, you could give the direct URL. Okay, here this WSDL URL could be identified from this window, right? From this window, you could be able to see in the address bar what is available. Okay, in the address bar what is available that can be used over there. Okay, and even you could be able to locate. Okay, I think it has been cut in the screen. Actually, you can locate also. If you click locate, the WSDL generated for the corresponding web service will be available. You can click that. Otherwise, you can give the thing what I have shown in the address bar. It is enough. And what about the current project? The project name and the web style that I have shown you, the client style that I have shown you here. Since we are going to use SOAP based access only, right? Because native program only. So in that case, I am giving JAX W style, as well as I wrote my web service in terms of JAX based upon my SOAP only. So how to do that? I wrote a separate program, and I'm going to write new, and I'm going to write a Java class. So I have created Java Web Service Client. That is the program that I have created. I have created along with the main method, and I'm creating the new class. So I am going to create a package on this. So within the package, my class is available. So package pack1, that is my package. Within that, my class is available. So within the main, I am going to call my web service. See the screen, call my web service. How to call the web service? Within main, you have to double click and you have to access web service client resources. Okay, web service client resources. Once you click that, you will get the option call web service operation. Okay, call web service operation. So this is the option that you have to root, right? So I'm going to create a package. Within the package, I'm having a class. Within the class, I'm having main method. So by clicking within the main method, I have to check the option web service client resources. It has a sub option call web service operation. Once I'm going to click that, I will get this screen. Okay, because already it has been earmarked in our directory. Okay, so by that I could able to access fact1. Remember, fact1 is the name of the method. Okay, fact1 that has been selected from the web services folder. This is the program, right? This is the program. So I am accessing the factorial service. I am accessing the factorial port. All those things are predefined, right, for the corresponding content. See, whatever that you are going to create, the service and the port are important. Okay, so please remember that will be available in terms of your the service name what you have given over there. Okay, so factorial service by default. That is the reason why while you are going to give the service name and method name, You have to differentiate. So it is very easy for us to understand, because fact1 is my method name. So please remember, fact1 is my method name. So what I am going to do, fact1 of x. This is the method we wrote in our web service. Okay. The return type is a string. See, here we are using a string variable. So the result will be stored here. So ultimately, I could be able to consume the web service. Within the try block, I have given this because sometime if server is busy, it could not be able to give you the accessibility. That is the reason why it has been given within try block. Right? It may raise some exception if the service is not applicable. So within the try block, what I am writing, first I have to identify my service, in which port the service is running. I have mentioned that the input parameter, I am passing it from my, even you can write a scanner statement to get input also. But for your understanding purpose, I have given directly the value 5 has been given over there. That 5 will be passed as an argument. Port dot fact1. So in which port the corresponding service is running, that will be identified. Web service is consumed and result is processed, and result is get back to this result variable. So finally, I am going to print that result variable, right? So here you could be able to see that, right? This is a program that what we wrote. See in the bottom of the screen. So I have tested for the different values, right? So that could be the case that I could be able to map with. Okay, so I think that could be the complete session. How to consume our web service, how to create my web service, and how to consume it, right? So if you have any queries, that you could be able to post it, and I'll advise you utilize it and practice it. It is a stage, because in the next class I'll educate you how to create a SOAP-able web service, right? RESTful web services. SOAP-based web services and RESTful web services, during creation, how it is going to work, as well as what would be the role of application server and web server on this. So that is also a major criteria that we need to think about that. You could be able to see the difference when we are going to access web service based on SOAP as well as based on RESTful. There you will come to know about the next topic on web service security, right? That will lead you to the topic on unit 4. So that's the thing. If you have any doubts, you can post it here.